Welcome to Oxford News This Week. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Terry Stiles. In this week's news, Council picks a millennial to fill vacant seat. The village gets positive audit report adding to the fund balance, and Council looks at lowering snow fines.
Stay tuned. Learn more about these stories and others. The Oxford News begins right now. Last week, Oxford Village Council voted 3-1 to appoint 26-year-old Allison Kemp to a seat previously held by Eric Dolan, who resigned in December. Sworn into office on January 10th, Kemp will serve until November 2020. The 2010 Oxford grad, Kemp joins fellow millennials Joe Frost, the village president, and Councilwoman Kate Logan, who, by the way, they were both born in 1982. Kemp says a lot of millennials feel underrepresented in the government and they don't get involved because it's a scary thing to jump into the office when other politicians are older. Kemp believes the village can change that by actively seeking out millennials' input and their participation.
A January 9th first reading of a proposed ordinance prohibits all marijuana establishments within the township. That's Oxford Township. The Board of Trustees voted 5-2 to set a second reading and possible adoption at its meeting on Wednesday, February 13th at 6:30 p.m. Voting in favor of the motion were Supervisor Bill Dunn, Curtis Wright, which is the clerk, and the treasurer Joe Ferrari, and trustee Margaret Payne and Patty Durr. Voting against it were trustees Jack Curtis and Elgin Nichols.
Oxford Board of Education trustee Eric Foster echoed the sentiment of his colleagues when discussing bullying at Oxford schools. Overall, every school in the district is below the national average, determined by the Allweiss anti-bullying program. Many schools in the program saw a 1 to 2% increase in bullying. Assistant Superintendent of Students Services, Denise Sweet, said it's a result of the Always Us program's methods leveling out in the district. In 2012, the district implemented Always Us practices to counteract bullying among students. When Always Us first came to Oxford, bullying numbers dropped dramatically. Sweet says it makes sense to see a small raise in numbers after a few years pass. Moving forward, principals and staff will adjust their practices to continue teaching students what bullying is and how to stand up to it.
The Village of Oxford's financial statements for the 2017-18 fiscal year received an opinion from the firm of Stevens, Kurinovic, and Tucker. During the annual audit presentation, Aaron Stevens said the opinion is the highest level of assurance for a set of financial statements. The village's general fund ended the previous fiscal year on June 30th with a fund balance of over $650,000. The money can be spent or saved at the city's discretion, and that would be the village's discretion. The money represents over 30% of the village's annual expenditures.
School safety was a topic of the discussion at the Oxford Board of Education this week. Oxford Middle School became the final school in the district to start receiving ALICE training, which stands for Alert, Lockdown, Inform, Counter, and Evacuate. The ALICE program gave the district 3D mapping. These maps equipped the district to create plans for active shooter events or other emergencies. Clear Lake Elementary received a video doorbell in November 2018, allowing secretaries to speak and see who is at the front door of the school. Later in the meeting, Board President Tom Donnelly discussed the board's focus on school safety with incoming trustees Hanser, Foster, and Griffith.
Oxford property owners who fail to remove snow and ice from their sidewalks in the village could face lower fines than originally told due to a new draft ordinance language presented to the Village Council last week. The proposed ordinance amendment will be returned to Council for a first reading on Tuesday, February 12th at 6:30. If you have an opinion, you might want to be there. Under the existing ordinance, the minimum fine for the first offense is $50. The penalty increases to $150 for a second offense and $500 for an additional offense within a 3-month time period.
Last October, Justin Wilcox started a closed group Facebook page called Volunteers of North Oakland County. The purpose was to connect those who wish to volunteer with those who need help. The group has over 150 members and is open to all seeking volunteers for a good cause. Wilcox formed the group as a way to show his gratitude for all who contributed a total of $3,500 last year to help him purchase new hearing aids. Wilcox requires hearing aids because he was born with a condition that led to partial or total hearing loss and vision loss that worsens over time. Because of his disability, Wilcox is limited to the ways he can give back to the community. So he is now in the process of organizing a volunteer fair to be held on Saturday, April 13th at Emmanuel Congregational United Church of Christ. The church is located at the corner of Hovey and Dennison Streets in the village, and it will be run from noon to 3 p.m. Nonprofit organizations are invited to set up a booth and share information about available volunteer opportunities.
On January 5th, members of the Oxford High School robotics team collected over 250 pairs of shoes, boots, and slippers. They will be used to help a 20-year-old battling a rare form of cancer. The footwear was collected and donated to Victoria Patrico. She is a patient with thymoma cancer. She is hoping to collect 5,000 pairs of shoes, which will be sent to a third world country and will help Victoria raise money for radiation therapy. Wow, that's really cool.
Speaking of shoes, they may need well, they call them snowshoes.
Oh,
it's going to be
sounds like you're going to need them, huh? So by the time you see this, you're going to know whether we had that big snow or not. But you know, it's about time. Here it is, mid-January, almost the end of January, and we really haven't seen anything.
No. And you know, the other thing that's amazing, I think, is the budgets, the reveal that they have with the village.
At the village, I was going to say, you know, maybe they were hoping that snow ordinance was going to increase their general fund, but sounds like their general fund increased a bit in the last year or so. Not really. I know that they were crying not having money, and I know they spent a lot of money last year, so I'm really impressed.
Very interesting.
That they have such a large general fund.
And I do find, too, that a miracle has been forthcoming in the fact with the DDA, that they're very solvent.
They have it, too.
They have a pretty good amount of money in their general fund, and I think that they're accumulating the monies for one of the main purposes for M24, reconstruction, and make sure that all of the businesses downtown have the traffic.
So I will say, for the previous council, they kept a really good eye on their monies, and that was the reason that they gave us for not giving us our full franchise fees. For they were trying to hang on to it for the reconstruction downtown. So when that's done, hopefully they'll give us our full franchise fees again, because they're sitting pretty darn pretty with that nice sized general fund.
Well,
so I had to get my dig in there.
They know that we have a genuine interest there.
Well, I know they do, and I know that they know that we are definitely concerned about our funding that's coming in, and if they're that solvent and they're doing that well with their general fund, maybe you out there can encourage your council to give us our full franchise fees. They normally keep half, and the reason they told us they were keeping half this year was to redo the sidewalks in your village. So let's
you know, as always, Terry, you know, neighbors need to help neighbors.
That's right, I agree.
They're one of our neighbors,
nice to each other. They are one of our. And you know what? I know the people in the village are watching us, because there's a lot of money coming in from franchise fees to the village. So that means people in the village are watching. So that's it. There's my 2 cents again. That is not the opinion of the station. That's Terry Stiles again. And I know how things work in the village. So I'm really proud that they have such a great general fund.
Yes.
And that's it for Oxford News this week. If you'd like to learn more about these stories or others, pick up a copy of the Oxford Leader newspaper, or you can catch us on our website at occtv.org or on YouTube, and of course our regular cable channel, Spectrum Channel 191 and AT&T Channel 99.
Coming up is our very own Cody Wright with school sports, and then catch Alexis Ware and Danielle Smith with school news. And you won't want to miss Auto Talk and Science in the News with Dave Kenny.
I'm Terry Stiles. Thanks for watching Oxford News this week, where we bring your news closer to home.
And I'm Elgin Nichols. Remember, always be kind to your friends and neighbors, and thanks for watching.
Welcome to Science in the News. I'm Dave Kenny, and these stories are taken from the publication New Scientist. In our first story, Elon Musk has revealed images of his assembled Starship Hopper test rocket as the entrepreneur continues to explore ways of one day sending people to places as far as Mars. The SpaceX founder shared the first real images of the prototype from its Texas launch site, telling Twitter followers it's not a rendering. This is for suborbital VTOL, or vertical takeoff and landing test, Musk explained. Orbital version is taller, has thicker skins, which won't wrinkle, and a smoother curving nose section. This particular model will be used to test short launches and landing. Earlier this month, Musk said SpaceX was aiming to carry out test flights within 4 weeks, but admitted it could be as long as 8 weeks when unforeseen issues are factored in. The design of the rocket resembles the classic spacecraft from 1950s aerospace fiction, such as the film Destination Moon. Responding to questions from space enthusiasts, Musk said that the first orbital prototype should be ready by June. In November, the rocket was renamed from Big Falcon rocket to Starship. Back on the ground, evening primrose flowers can hear approaching bees and quickly make their nectar sweeter in response to the sound. Lilac Hadney and colleagues at Tel Aviv University in Israel collected nectar from flowers before and after exposing them to a range of sound, including the recording of bees and synthetic noises. Within 3 minutes of exposure to bee sounds or artificial sounds of a similar frequency, the flowers increased the concentration of sugar in their nectar by 20% on average. There was no change in sugar levels in flowers played no sound or higher frequency sounds. Bees are highly sensitive to differences in sugar concentration, preferring to go after higher calorie nectar. By improving the rewards on offer, plants may benefit by encouraging the pollinators to spend longer visiting the plant or visit more flowers of the same species. Enhancing sugar levels when pollinators approach might also help a plant save energy in the long run and reduce the risk of nectar being degraded by microbes or stolen by ants. Nectar can be a significant energy investment, and thus keeping a consistently high level of sugar can be wasteful, says Hadney. How plants detect the sounds of bees is unknown. However, using highly sensitive laser instruments, the researchers found that the evening primrose flowers vibrate when played recordings of bee or moth sounds. Hadney thinks that flowers may receive sound pressure in a way similar to our ears. When petals were removed from flowers, they vibrated less when played the sound clips, suggesting petals may help receive and amplify pollinator sounds. Previous research has found that some plants can hear the vibrations of caterpillars eating their leaves and retaliate with repellent chemicals. Wow. Some flowers only release pollen efficiently when bees cause them to vibrate at a specific frequency, a technique called buzz pollination. Keep it up. In our last story, IBM has unveiled its first quantum computer designed for commercial use, the sleek-looking IBM Q System 1. The company says it has no plans to sell the device, but will instead allow customers to perform quantum calculations over the internet. Quantum computers offer the promise to vastly outperform regular machines at certain tasks by exploiting, that is, the strange properties of quantum physics, though as of yet, no quantum device has achieved this milestone. The Q System 1 has 20 quantum bits, or qubits, while most researchers expect that the first devices to achieve so-called quantum supremacy over ordinary computers will require at least 50 qubits. IBM has spent the past few years making increasingly powerful quantum hardware available to the outside world. In 2016, it put a 5-qubit machine online free for anyone to experiment with, but this is the first system designed with commercial clients in mind. The device is housed inside a temperature-controlled glass shell that is designed to preserve the qubit's fragile quantum state. The idea is to reduce maintenance and make use using the Q System 1 more like working with a regular mainframe computer. IBM is not the first company to offer a quantum computer for commercial use, however. In 2011, D-Wave Systems announced partnership with aerospace giant Lockheed Martin to use its 120-qubit processor. The company's machines, which rely on a technique called quantum annealing, are generally not accepted by researchers as true universal quantum computers. Well, that's it for this edition of Science in the News. I'm Dave Kenny. Stay tuned to Oxford Community Television.
Hello and welcome back to School News. Last week, Oxford girls and boys ski team had their first race at Mount Holly. Stay tuned for some coverage of that event on the Schooling Around segment this week. And speaking of snow, there are some safety tips to be aware of when doing outdoor activities. The most common error made is believing that if you see ice on top, there's ice on the bottom. As we get deeper into the winter, you'll need to be aware of these rules, so take a look. The Department of Natural Resources released this image in 2018 showing the thickness ice should contain before doing activities on it. They strictly forbid any activity on the ice if it's under 4 inches. At 4 inches, you can begin ice fishing and other foot activities such as ice skating. The 5 to 7 inch mark enables you to use a snowmobile and ATVs. 5 to 12 would put pedestrians in the clear to operate a car or a small pickup. At 12 to 15 inches is safe enough for a medium truck according to this diagram. Keep in mind that these dimensions are based on new ice and it may vary the longer the ice has been there. White ice, also known as snow ice, is only half as thick as clear ice, so it is advised that you take extra caution in double the thickness before doing any kind of activity on it. Remember, ice is never 100% safe. Diving into school events for this week, there is no school across the board in observance of Martin Luther King Jr. Day on Monday, January 21st. Tuesday is IEP Day, Individualized Educational Plan Day, and Lakeville also has their talent show auditions this Tuesday and Wednesday. Friday is another IEP Day between 7:30 a.m. and 3 o'clock p.m. OES has their Student of the Month breakfast from 8 to 9 a.m. and it's a game night for all Lakeville family members starting at 6:30 on Friday. Next week starts off pretty slow with only events on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Wednesday being the Dance Conservatory auditions in Oxford High School's LDSP talent show starting at 7 p.m. Thursday, Lakeville is having a reading workshop from 2:30 to 3:30, and there's also another IEP Day at 7:30. Friday is the first day of February, which makes Valentine's Day only a few weeks away. On this day, OES, Lakeville, and Daniel Axford all have half days, so check with individual schools to find out exact times. And that does it for this portion of school news. We're going to head over to the high school for the boys basketball game and see what encouraging words they have for the boys and 2019. See you there.
All right, so we are at halftime right now. We need as much school spirit as possible. Currently, Pontiac is in the lead, so we're going to talk to this front row and see what kind of encouragement they have to offer. Hey guys, what do you think about the game so far?
It's really intense, and I think that Oxford's doing really well, but yeah.
And what kind of encouragement can you tell to the team to maybe pull through?
I'm sorry, what was that?
What kind of encouragement can you tell to the team to maybe pull through?
They just gotta push through it and not let it get to their head that they're a really good team and just play how they normally would.
And now, whose face is this right now? Whose face is that?
What?
Whose face is this?
This is Connor Nicholson.
And he's on varsity, right? What number is he so we can be sure to look out for him?
Yes, 10. He's number 10.
Number 10. All right, number 10. We are rooting for you. We're going to come over here and talk to a few more students right before we head up. All right. So what is some kind words of encouragement that you can tell to Oxford today to pull through?
Can you say that again?
What's some encouraging words you can tell to Oxford to pull through today?
You got anything? They gotta take the plastic off the rim like at Dick's Sporting Goods so it'll go in. And we need to put Grant in. Grant.
All right, and who is this right now?
Oh, me?
Yeah, who is this on the picture?
This is Grant. Grant's the best player. Go Grant.
And what number is Brent?
11. Grant Kornberger.
All right. All right, so number 11, we're rooting for you too. We're gonna go ahead and close it out here so we can focus on halftime. I'm gonna try and see if we can get everybody to wish the Wildcats some luck, all right?
Go Wildcats! Go Blue!
All right, we're gonna send it to Cody right at the desk. Catch you later.
What's going on, Wildcat fans? Cody right back here once again for another sports report. We have a lot to get into, so let's just dive right in as usual. First off, the boys varsity basketball team has played absolutely phenomenal this season. On Tuesday, they tied the school record for most wins in a row, taking down Lake Orion here at home, 50-44. It was a packed house, and the boys responded well to the pressure. Big names like Michael Raish couldn't be stopped, even though a chipped tooth was the result of a collision he took going up for 2 points. He looked outstanding as usual. So did the athlete of the week, Trey Townsend, coming in big for us both offensively and defensively. The whole starting lineup played great. The tipping point, which got us ahead by a comfortable amount, came from Nolan Hiller, who sunk a few threes right off the bench, and that was the end of Lake Orion having the lead. Thursday night, the boys then took on Pontiac, also with an undefeated record here at home. We were looking to increase our record to 11-0, which would break the school's record for most wins. And that's exactly what we did. The main lineup showed up to play, and the first half, down a few, the tensions were pretty high. However, in the second half, we grabbed the lead and held on. Zach Townsend came in huge with numerous three-pointers shot after shot. The final score of the night was 49-46. The freshman club took on Orion as well, but couldn't seem to bring in the same results, falling to a final of 44-41. However, the club looked great against Pontiac, taking the win large, 42-24. What a season so far it has been for Oxford basketball. If you haven't made it out to any of these games, it's an absolute must. These guys are on absolute fire. On the flip side, both varsity and JV girls teams took on Rochester Adams here at home. Varsity played before the boys' Lake Orion game on and started off the night strong with a 49-40 win. However, the JV girls couldn't quite sneak out with a W, falling 26-24. On another positive note, the boys' bowling team improved their season record to 5-0, standing still at the top of the OAA Red Division. The boys took on Hazel Park and absolutely pummeled them 30-0. The point leaders of the match were Zach Barrows with rolling 215 and Tony Verbeck rolling 209. Both boys and girls teams now look ahead to Bloomfield United on January 17th. The Oxford and Avondale United hockey team took one tough loss and came out with a win as well, falling hard 9-0 against Clarkston. However, taking the win 4-2 against Marysville at McGorran Arena. All in all, I'd say the boys are definitely showing some progress. And last but certainly not least, both wrestling teams took wins on the road on Wednesday, taking down our rivals in Green 58-18 and also taking down Rochester 33-30. Both of these outfits are looking strong this season. Our wrestling team does hold a solid reputation, and it looks like this season is only going to add to that. Before we wrap things up, we have a quick reminder. It's not too late to sign up for the Michigan Senior Olympics. In February, over 600 athletes will come together from all over the state to compete in both winter and indoor sporting events. Hockey and cross-country skiing is on the list, as well as volleyball, bocce ball, and basketball. So far, only 4 Oxford residents are signed up, so don't wait too long if you plan on it. Registration for the event starts at $15. More info can be found at michiganseniorolympics.org/page/registration. Any questions or interest in volunteering can visit the website or call 248-608-0250. And that's going to wrap it up for this week's report. For any more info on this season, go to oxfordathletics.org. Plenty of game breakdowns, statistics, and more all right there for you to look at. That is oxfordathletics.org. While you're at it, might as well check us out at occtv.org. All of our coverage of these events can be found on our YouTube page, which you can access through the website. Once again, that is occtv.org. I want to thank you all for watching and remind you to tune in next time. But until then, I'm Cody Wright. Go Wildcats.
Welcome to this edition of Auto Talk. I'm Dave Kenny, and these stories are taken from the publication Automotive News. In our first story, Mercedes-Benz newest entry-level model will launch in the U.S. with a sticker price ready to move sheet metal. The A-Class subcompact will start at $33,495, including shipping. The all-wheel drive version starting price will be $2,000 higher. The average selling price for a new car in the U.S. is about $35,740, according to Kelley Blue Book. Mercedes expects to release demo units of the A-Class to U.S. dealers this month, with sales beginning in February, Automotive News has learned. The A-Class is powered by a 2-liter inline-4 turbocharged engine that produces 188 horsepower and 221 pound-feet of torque. It's billed as a gateway vehicle designed to draw the next generation of customers to the luxury brand. By 2020, the A-Class is expected to account for about 5% of the brand's U.S. sales, according to IHS Markit. Mercedes has primed the A-Class to lure millennials, consumers roughly ages 22 to 37. The A-Class introduces a next-generation infotainment system that will migrate across Mercedes' model line. The Mercedes-Benz User Experience, or MBUX, is a user interface that learns routines and preferences of the driver. MBUX can recognize patterns and predict navigation routes and radio stations based on the time of day. Typically, you have to learn the car, Bernard Glasser, Mercedes Director of Product Management, told Automotive News, but with MBUX, the car learns you. The A-Class will also offer a suite of driving assistant technologies, including the ability to drive semi-autonomously in certain conditions. Camera and radar systems allow the sedan to monitor traffic more than 1,500 feet ahead. The A-Class also uses map and navigation data to predictively adjust the speed when approaching bends, junctions, and roundabouts. The interior comes standard with two 7-inch displays, which can be upgraded to a 10.25-inch screen. The A-Class nudged out the CLA, which starts at $34,095 as Mercedes' least expensive vehicle. And at General Motors is partnering with 3 leading electric charging providers to create a more convenient network of more than 31,000 chargers for its EV owners. The automaker has announced collaborations with EVgo, ChargePoint, and Greenlots to integrate their charging networks into the My Chevrolet app. The combination will allow Bolt EV customers with model year 2017 or newer access to real-time data on whether the stations are working, available, and compatible with a Bolt EV. The collaborations at this point are exclusively for Bolt owners. Meg Soul, a GM spokeswoman, said further announcements regarding future EV models could be made at a later date. GM has plans to launch at least 20 new all-electric or fuel cell-powered vehicles globally by 2023. GM also expects to create an app interface for all 3 networks to streamline charger access, that is, and potentially allow activation of a charging session using the app instead of a membership card. GM, according to Seoul, is open to adding other EV station providers to the collaborations as the company explores ways to expand EV charging networks. The collaborations at this point do not include building out EV infrastructure, which is viewed as one of the major barriers along with range and price for all electric vehicles. GM expects to finalize, that is, the terms of the collaborations and agreements with EVgo, ChargePoint, and Greenlots by March. Timing of the features for the Chevrolet app will be announced at a later date, according to GM. GM declined to provide any financial details of the partnerships. And on the recall front, Fiat Chrysler Automobiles is recalling about 1.4 million vehicles in the U.S. as part of its final phase to replace Takata passenger side airbag inflators. The callback, January 10th, also involves about 88,830 vehicles in Canada and 12,821 units in Mexico. Affected vehicles are the 2010 Ram 3500 pickup and Ram 45 and 5500 chassis cab, 2010 to 2011 Dodge Dakota pickup, 2010 to 2014 Dodge Challenger Sport Coupe, 2011 to 2015 Dodge Charger sedan, and 2010 to 2015 Chrysler 300 sedan, and last but not least, the 2010 and to 2016 Jeep Wrangler SUV. This is the automaker's 4th and final phase of the Takata airbag recall managed by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. So far, FCA said it has replaced more than 4 million Takata airbags. Faulty Takata airbag inflators may explode and shoot shrapnel across vehicle occupants, potentially resulting in injury or death. FCA said it's unaware of any injuries associated with the passenger side frontal airbag inflators covered in the latest expanded safety recall. Mark Chernaby, FCA's head of North American Safety and Regulatory Compliance, said owners of affected vehicles should contact their dealers for a free replacement. The automaker will notify owners of the affected vehicles by mail when the latest recall is effective. Well, that's it for this edition of Auto Talk. I'm Dave Kenny, and as always, may the wind be at your back as you cruise down life's highways.